I am the Walshy one, and for those that follow my socials or have been in my streams long enough, they'll know that my 9 to 5 is doing tech support. And, well, I've been in the game close to 20 years, and after 20 years, you're bound to see a thing or two. One of the greatest stories I've had the pleasure, or displeasure, depending on how you view it, is a story that I would dub the Great Apple Photo Leak. I've told this story on stream before a couple of times, but I don't want it to be lost to the annals of time, so I thought I'd record it and get it on here for those that can't make my streams. But I think you should join in on my streams. We're a pleasant bunch of people, and we have funny moments, kind of like you don't know what they're going through. You don't understand the things they've seen. Nobody heard that screaming, right? That was just me having a stroke, right? And an occasional moment or two, like, oh god. I don't think they know how to use doors. Oh god, it knows how to use a door! Yes, that's my shameless plug. No, I'm not sorry. The Great Apple Photo Leak story begins at a small construction company that I would leave the oil and gas business for. I decided to leave the oil and gas business behind because it was 365 days, 24/7 of constant work. You never really had any downtime. You were always on, and your phone needed to be on to be available at the drop of a hat. This construction firm had a small office. It was mainly HR, legal teams, and there was a warehouse at the back with some mechanics, with a bunch of also field workers out in other states. The office tended to look after itself, so there was a lot of downtime and just killing time, really, and it was a welcome change of pace for me. Most of the time you were looking after folks with some printer issues, office application related things, Adobe problems, but it had a lot of downtime, and that downtime was used for playing games, watching TV shows, studying, and talking shop with the very small IT team. One of the perks of the job was that everyone from contractor to employee, local or international, was provided with a smartphone. You could choose between Apple or Android, with most of them opting in for Apple, as Apple iPhones were the trendy phone at the time. This was offered to both contractors and employees, regardless of your position. You could be a janitor or a gardener, head of HR, in the sales team, whatever position you were, you had your choice of a smartphone. We have to provide some IT context for a problem and solution just so you can kind of understand where we're coming from on this and the obvious solutions to these types of problems. So, we were a small IT team, which meant we had a small IT budget. This is very common in most businesses that you never really give the IT department a proper budget and funding, so most of the time it's getting very creative with solutions. So the problem that we have here is a fleet of mobile phones across the country, across the globe, that need controlling, managing, and updating. Normally you would invest in something called an MDM, a mobile device management solution. This would allow you to remotely control everything on the phones, from updates, settings, locations, to even things like ringtones. But as mentioned, we're a small IT team with a small IT budget, which means no MDM solution. So the next best option we could come up with for these iPhones was to enroll all of them into one iCloud account that gave us some control over these phones. Wouldn't let us have the controls that we were going to need very, very soon, but till then it worked as a cheap man's MDM. And then the day came when Apple launched and pushed out the update to the iCloud, allowing for seamless photo and video sharing to all devices under the one iCloud account. Every device under that one iCloud account would have their photos and videos shared amongst all the devices seamlessly. We weren't really keeping up with the Apple news, even the most diehard of the Apple fans in the IT department. When it came to the phones, all we were thinking about was the bills paid, and do we have to repair or replace any iPhones? Well, on this date, we were going to get very familiar with the Apples and iPhones in general. To describe our office, it was like a capital H on the side, with rows of desks, like 3x3x3, all the way along. You enter through one side, either there or there on the H, and go all the way down to the other side. We were up in the top here in this little corner. That was the IT department. Well, I rocked up at 7 o'clock, and as soon as I opened up the door, I could see a length of people from one side of the hallway all going down towards the IT department. And every single person had their phone in hand, and they were all muttering to themselves. Now, I had my headphones on because I was listening to some music because I just came in through public transport, so I had no idea what they were muttering about. But seeing their phones in hand and all occasionally raising their phones up, I just thought to myself, like, oh crap, we must have forgotten to pay the phone bill. That little thought right there was going to be a sweet, forgotten memory compared to the disgusting truth I was about to walk in on. Well, as I get closer to my desk, I take my headphones off and I go around the other side of my desk to greet the first gentleman there. He's incredibly well dressed, suit, tie, very well groomed. Never seen his face before. Assume he's from the legal team. We never really see the legal team. Didn't even know we had one, really, till this guy rocked up. He doesn't even introduce himself. He just holds up his phone like this, points to it and goes, "Whose dick is this?" My eyes adjust as I realize I am staring at a hairy, veiny dick, and I hadn't even had the chance to finish my Red Bull. As soon as those words left his mouth, a daisy chain effect happened, and everyone held up their phone in line, each showing a different set of tits, asses, feet pictures, pictures of poo, just everything you would expect to see on your typical high schooler's phone. So I quickly downed the Red Bull, and I took his phone, and I started looking through the settings, and then I found this photo and video sharing to iCloud option turned on, and then it dawned on me. Everyone in the company that had an iPhone that had been taking pictures of their everything had now accidentally shared their everything with everybody. Now, I'm sure if we had an MDM, we could have remotely updated all the phones and turned this off remotely, all in an instant. But we didn't, because the company was cheap and we didn't need an MDM. So the solution was to pen the most awkward email I have ever penned in my career. An email that would say, "Dear all iPhone users, you may have noticed some unsolicited tits, dicks, ass, feet, and even shit photos on your phone that you don't remember taking. And if you did take them, well, your co-workers and your bosses have seen these photos. Here's how you turn that off." I had to write that email. I can only imagine how awkward the team meetings would have been going forward, knowing that you've seen your boss's junk or your boss has seen your junk. We never did get the MDM solution, even though we used it in the incident report as a scenario to justify getting an MDM. But it was one of those, it'll never happen again things, so why bother spending the money on it? It became a conversation of water cooler talk going forward, where some folks wanted to sue the company for the incident, but there was the whole counter argument of when you got the phone, you had a contract that said you wouldn't use the company property inappropriately. So you're kind of shit out of luck there. And that turned into maybe we could sue Apple for the whole thing. But sure, Apple has a line in their paperwork somewhere that says this was going to be a thing that turns on. So they were kind of shit out of luck there too. Eventually, it would fade out of everyone's memory, but it scared me off from ever touching an iPhone ever again. And that was the great Apple photo leak of my career. I've got plenty of these stories. I'll be sharing them more and more over here to make sure they don't get lost to the annals of time on my stream. The next review I'll be doing will be Abiotic Factor. It's a great science survival game that I've been playing on stream and having a blast. And I'd love for you to jump online and come watch and join in on the fun. Anyway, I've been the Welshy One, and thanks for listening in. You know, because of these leaks, I swear I learned that my boss had some piercings.